once you have humanoid robots and deep intelligence, you can basically have quasi-infinite products and services available. So with Tesla building the most advanced humanoid robot, then those humanoid robots can be directed by deep intelligence at the data center level. Say you can produce any product, provide any service. There's really no limit to the economy at that point. If in the form of humanoid robots, you have no meaningful limit on the number of robots, and the robots can basically do anything, then you'll have a sort of a universal high income situation. Anyone will be able to have as many products and services as they want, with the exception of things that say have artificial scarcity, like a particular piece of art or something like that. But for any goods and services, they'll be available to everyone. It's going to be a very different world. It's kind of maybe like more like Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, where you've got sort of a small group of very smart humans, but then maybe the average intelligence drifts lower over time, potentially. But human intelligence, I think, will be dwarfed by machine intelligence. I'm not sure how to feel about that, except that it appears to be inevitable.
Trump repeatedly says throughout this presser, he's always questioning the judges. And why would the judges not want him to find all of this corruption? He's campaigned on the corruption. Everybody knows it's corrupt. And the judges, it's going to be a real problem if the judges stop him from doing what he's supposed to do. And to me, if you look at UN SDG 16, it's all about just institutions. And again, this goes back to the MacArthur Foundation funding judicial reform. The Koch brothers are all into judicial reform. This is going to be connected to AI governance and arbitration law. If you're going to create a global superorganism where each of us are cells competing to either be like part of a tissue or identified as cancer and blah, 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 there's all of this arbitration happening, this automated legal system. And so human judges are going to be set up as corrupt, flawed, inconsistent, and they're going to be largely wiped off the board in favor of AI machine learning systems. Okay, so here is Musk, and he's at the world government. He's remote. In this case, he's coming in remote. He's saying, it's really important. I'm a tech support guy. The most important thing about this governance is that we have better technology. And largely what he talks about is payment processing. And it sounds good. Like, again, this is broken on purpose. I mean, that's the thing. If you listen to it and set aside the team sport, like emotional triggering that you've been primed for, it actually doesn't sound bad. But what they're saying is this is very simple. This is very obvious. This is just, we want the Treasury Department to fill out who the check is made out to and what it is about. And nobody can, it's like Bobby Kennedy, nobody can argue with that. But it's about something much deeper, because ultimately they're planning on laying off most people in government and running it on smart contracts. And that isn't ever discussed. And so that's what is so fraudulent and sneaky about the program, is they don't say, hey, the future is this. In order to get there, we're going to lay off most people, and we're going to turn the services over to automated systems run on blockchain smart contracts and the protocol layer. And we're going to do it under the name of the UN SDGs and digital public goods. They're not going to say any of that, right? Okay, so Musk is saying the government needs better technology to manage it with the contracts. Musk says, hey, we got a mandate from the people. The people say we want government reform, and they're going to get government reform. And again, problem, reaction, solution. They do have a mandate. Do you think most people think that what's coming with the governments is cybernetic systems engineering with swarm intelligence behavior and stigmergy and, digital twin modeling? No, they don't know any of that.
Welcome to What's Left, a weekly political discussion challenging the mainstream left. My name is Andy Libson, and I'm joined by Brandee, my wife. What's Left is online at whatsleftpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, review, turn on your notifications, share your favorite episode, and jot down our information wherever you found this episode. And also, we've got shirts for anybody who wants them. You'll see those posted there. So today is a special episode because we're joined by Brandee. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We tried to record this with Eduardo, but he was not available on those days. Like, he's very busy in Mexico and doing some important stuff with some important people that he and I both love. And Hema was thinking she would join us
But mom duties called.
But mom duties called. And that definitely takes priority. And so I've really wanted to talk about this. I know you have been frustrated by all this talk about DOGE and what a great thing it is.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, Elon is our hero.
Correct. So look, we're partisans here. We're going to take sides. And I think with Hema, she might have had a point of view.
We're partisans?
Meaning we already taken a side. We've already fucked DOGE, right? So you're not going to hear a debate about that. With Hema, I think maybe she had some questions about maybe there's some good things going on there.
I think if she were the head of DOGE, that's what because she'd be like, I'm slashing this, right. I'm slashing that.
Well, and she thinks it's I'm sorry, she's not here, but I think she might think it's about slashing. And it's actually about building. You have to destroy it to build. And that's what I want to talk about today. So let's start first with what DOGE is. And I'm going to share my screen it was an executive order saying we're establishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. And really pretty much from Section 1 spells out what it's about. Section 1 says the purpose is the executive order establishes the Department of Government Efficiency to implement the President's DOGE agenda by modernizing federal technology and software to maximize government efficiency and productivity. And I think when you hear those words in terms of technology today, efficiency and productivity, well, just in terms of capitalism, those words mean getting rid of workers and replacing them with machines. That's what those words mean. And so here's what they're talking about it. Like, we are going to basically get rid of workers and replace them with machines. And I think some people have seen DOGE and seen the Trump administration as a challenge to the deep state, right? Because it's challenging the state somehow, but it's not. This is automating the deep state.
Well, and I mean, just on its face, it does seem very like, this seems good. I bet all the government databases are like, they're not talking to each other and they're just kind of clunky because they aren't part of Silicon Valley. And like that just seems fairly benign to, I think, a lot of people. It's just like, of course, we've got to modernize the technology and streamline the software and just get everything working more efficiently. So, I mean, you're hearing that, but if I just read, I mean,
right,
I'm skeptical, but if I were just an average person, I think that would seem very straightforward.
Okay, but we're not talking about the average person. I think both you and I have been in some ways involved in the freedom movement.
Yes.
And
okay, yes, great.
And the freedom movement has
lost its skepticism.
If I remember right, freedom movement was not just, I don't want to be vaxxed and I don't want to have vaccine passports, but understood that there was a whole digital infrastructure that was being built.
Yeah.
And was one of the reasons why people opposed the lockdowns was because they saw the opportunity that the lockdowns presented for the building and the construction of the fourth industrial revolution.
Absolutely. And they also not particularly fond of government.
Right.
They don't really want government to be increasing its reach in any way.
Yes. Government or corporations. And the big thing people have been talking about is public-private partnerships, right, that the government and corporations fusing.
Yep.
So that is part of the fourth industrial revolution scenario where the government and the corporations all become this giant technocratic panopticon.
Yeah.
That's what people said they were opposing. Everyone, as far as I can tell, everyone who's excited about Trump, which is much of the freedom movement, believes that DOGE is a piece of the puzzle exposing and showing that Trump is going a different direction. Trump is challenging the deep state.
Yep.
Trump is
getting rid of the
cutting
deep state.
costs.
Yeah.
And there are cost cutting he's going to do, right? Or it's going to cut some costs, no question. But the first thing to ask yourself when you think about getting rid of the deep state, the people who's losing their jobs, are they the high level functionaries of these people? It's probationary workers. The deep state is not run by the probationary workers. The deep state is run by the people who've been in there for decades and decades and decades.
Right. The senior managers and directors.
Right. So but that is an efficiency, and it's a cost-effective efficiency. So it is actually saving the government money, and even Elon
Getting
Musk.
rid of any potential whistleblowers,
Right.
basically.
And in another attempt to ingratiate himself to the people who were like, oh, Elon's trying to help the working person. Trump is trying to help the working person. He just made this notion of there going to be a DOGE dividend where $5,000 checks are going to be sent to each taxpayer. And so I will say to the people in the freedom movement, we've been down this road before with the $5,000 paychecks.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't
that long ago.
The CARES Act and the CARES 2 Act were $2,000 payouts of 2 times, about $4,000 total, to basically say, stay home, stay with stay out of your job, and just let us transfer wealth all the way up to the top. Millions to billions to you, so that we can send trillions to the wealthy. So we've been down this road before. Do not be fooled by things like this. The thing I want to start off with is kind of a reminder about what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is. And ironically, this is an AI overview of the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Of course, I know. Even Brave browser.
So I asked you, thought maybe you could read this and we'll talk about. So remember, folks, this is what we're fighting. So this is.
Yes. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, also known as Industry 4.0.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know. Yeah, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Refers to a current wave of technological advancements characterized by the convergence of physical, digital, and biological spheres, including artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, 3D printing, and advanced data analytics, fundamentally changing how we live, work, and interact with each other.
Right.
Do you want me to continue?
No.
Okay.
And I would say those are some of the basics. What's missing from that are things like digital twinning, data collection. Data analytics is not just data analytics, analyzing data, but it's data collection for that. Internet, it's not just Internet of Things, it's Internet of Bodies as well, because we're talking about, and when they talk about the physical and digital and biological spheres interacting, we're talking about wearables and things like that on people that can be centralized. That
Apparently,
data.
there's even a thing called Internet of Forests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
They're going that deep.
So the Internet of
Everything.
Of everything.
Basically, everything's going to be digitized.
Right. And that is the program that really is what DOGE is at the center of. And I took some cuts here, right here. So this is just parts. And this is just from DOGE as well. Among other things.
The executive order?
Yeah, this is from the executive order. Among other things, the USDS administrator, what's USDS stand for again?
Department of
right.
Digital Services.
Yes, because
DOGE is part of the digital services.
Yeah, it's actually they went from, here's what it is. Part of this is reorganization, renaming of the United States Digital Services. The United States Digital Services, USDS, is hereby publicly renamed as the United States DOGE.
Right, because an executive order can't create a new department.
Right.
So they needed to just change the name of
right.
the current
so
department.
This USDS must be United States DOGE.
Digital Services.
Well, they must be
DOGE Services.
Service,
Okay, that's right. That's right. It has the same acronym. They didn't even change that.
Right. Among other things, the USDS administrator shall work with agency heads to promote interoperability between agency networks and systems, ensure data integrity, and facilitate responsible data collection and synchronization. All right. And of course, at the bottom, they also say, and to ensure that USDS has full and prompt access to all unclassified agency records, software systems, and IT systems. USDS, don't worry, shall adhere to rigorous data protection standards.
Yes.
And by the way, people might not know this, but the person who really runs this is not Musk.
Right.
It's Susan Wiley. USDS, as he is supposed to report to, the USDS administrator is supposed to report to the chief of staff.
Right.
So the person really behind the scenes here is Susan Wiley. This is not some rogue operation. This is the center of Trump's campaign, pushing an agenda that Musk is like the
cowboy,
the funny little monkey in front of people.
Exactly.
But behind them are people who really know connections to pharma, connections to big business, connections to all the lobbyists. That's what Susan Wiley is. You never hear about her because she is a big player in all of this, particularly as the chief of staff. So that's who is behind all this.
Yeah. You just got to have the PR out front. With
right.
Musk.
And everyone loves Musk, which, like, again, I'll talk about that in a second because that's nuts, folks. We've just been.
We love the CIA contractor,
we've just been through Bill Gates. Like,
Yeah,
I thought we
exactly.
just went through a whole round of a person who's really wealthy, connected to IT, who's looking to help the world through philanthropy. We just found out, like, everyone just exposed him, and we pick him up a new motherfucker on the other end.
Yeah.
Now it's philanthropist 3.0, where everyone's, oh no, but he's a maverick. He's looking to help us.
Right.
He's looking to help humanity. And he was an AI skeptic. If you remember, there was a point where he
there
was like,
was, yeah.
we got to watch out a bit.
Yeah.
Where is that guy now? Is he talking right now? Because if you notice, now he's like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be smarter than us.
Yep.
So
But we can train it to be truthful and have curiosity, so it's all
right.
good.
So I'll ask you, because this is something I found just today, which I think again is going to expose what all this is about. This is a Yahoo article, the truth people. Okay, so go ahead and take a look
The
at
truth
that.
people, Yahoo. Larry Ellison says the US and other countries need to unify all of the national data into a database that can be fed to AI. Of course, we knew this. This is what they're doing.
And where have we heard the name Larry Ellison before?
With Stargate.
Yes, exactly. Right here, Trump highlights partnership investing $500 billion into AI. So guess who was thinking, oh, that's a great idea, Doge. Why don't you centralize all the data?
I mean, this was all obviously talked about long in advance and planned.
Right.
And they probably did hire PR people, like, how are we going to, do this to be more, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But maybe JD Vance doesn't support this because JD Vance is literally in the pocket of Peter Thiel. So clearly JD Vance probably has a problem with this agenda. Like, again, there is nothing about this that is any threat to the deep state.
Yes.
This is the deep state keeping the what it needs of the state,
And centralizing.
getting rid of the fat and centralizing it.
Yeah.
And automating it and making it so that it has all the things you love about when you talk to the government. No longer, you don't have to talk to a person anymore. You can talk to an AI thingy, whatever that is.
Right, and never get your questions or problems resolved.
Or get 6 different answers to it. And they're like, oh, that's what you're going to be working with. But it's really not about your interaction with the government. It is about the AI being trained by the government, but also its connections to big business. Because this is something else that was part of something I found. This is from The Guardian, dude. I'm like, I don't have to look that far to find these things. Right there in the highlights there. This is from The Guardian.
Musk and those acting on his behalf have called for implementing new artificial intelligence systems in federal agencies and completely overhauling American weapons programs. Oh, weapons programs. Does that have anything to do with U.S. imperialism?
Right. And there's a thing we're going to hear about how Musk and the Defense Department recognizes that they have to move away from like F-35s and they have to move towards like drone swarm. But that is also going to be part of AI technology because the problem with these drones is they can get their signals fucked up by electronic countermeasures. So you need something that can run itself and you can just say, find this thing and kill it. That's what we're doing.
We don't need humans.
Well, Skynet, but whatever.
So, continuing on, Musk's plans have already excited Silicon Valley. That should stop your tracks right there.
Yes.
Like, this must be good for the people if Silicon Valley is excited.
Exactly.
So his plans have already excited Silicon Valley mainstays such as Palantir, whose executives praised Doge on an earnings call last week and talked about how, oh, didn't I send you the CEO of Palantir?
I don't know about what.
Yeah, remember that guy who was talking about, sometimes we just have to kill people.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right, our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the Rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is, or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, we are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world. and when it's necessary to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing.
And he was thrilled about it.
He was
Yes.
excited about that.
Right.
And I mean, it almost you should probably include this if we can find that, because I thought it was the
You got to find that.
CEO of Palantir talking to investment people. It might have been the same earnings call. And I thought it was a spoof because it was so ridiculous and just transparent what he said about basically we do the deep state's bidding, and and if that just means we have to kill people, we kill people.
And taking a bit of pride and joy in it.
And pride and joy, and like, hey, this is good for us.
Yeah.
So anyways, Palantir talked about how the disruption by the billionaires strike squad was good for the company. Palantir already has won hundreds of millions of dollars in U.S. military contracts in recent years for AI-related projects. Really?
Right. And in addition, this one.
Other CEOs and tech executives have similarly praised Musk and told investors that DOGE's plans represent an opportunity for their companies. I bet that was a surprise to Musk and Trump. Brian Armstrong, CEO of the multi-billion-dollar cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, lauded DOGE last week for its great progress and suggested putting government expenditures on blockchain technology. Oh, thanks for giving them that idea.
To make it secure and safe so that, it's safe for all of us.
Yeah.
It's not, again, blockchain is a centralization process. It is central to the idea of, it is central to feeding AI. It is central to the control. And it is central to the myth that our information is safe because it's on blockchain. But what it really is about centralizing that data in one place. That gets us back to digital IDs. That gets us back to digital currency. That's where all this leads. And Coinbase is one of the people that, or John Bush, he was one of the freedom people.
Yeah.
He had mentioned that he believes Coinbase is going to be one of the people who works with Trump
To get digital
to
currency.
get to digital
Yeah.
currency underneath Trump. So I guess what I would say, first and foremost, is there's nothing new under the, well, there's nothing mostly new under the sun here. We are having a billionaire say he's for the people, and what he is for creating
2 billionaires saying that they're for the
right,
people, yeah.
yes. But what he's for is creating a global technocratic panopticon for you that will be not run by humans, that will be run by AI and run in the interests of building more control for the state and it being able to fight its wars. And
to keep you under control.
Right. And you heard Musk talk about it. He's talking about robots. For robots to work autonomously, they will need AI. They already have other ways they do robots. They wear with the haptic headsets and things like that. That's only a transition state for these people.
Right.
Like inevitably, they want to get rid of the humans altogether. That is not because they're anti-human, which they may be anti-human, but it's because efficiency and productivity under capitalism always means removing the human from the equation. And inevitably, capitalism will lead to a place where there will be no humans whatsoever in production process. Now, Trump, or Musk wants to tell you that is some kind of like
high income.
We're all just going to
we're all just going to be
kicking back
and having every product and service that we desire. Everyone's going to love it.
Right, but that has nothing to do with what's taking place here. So, I just think that people have to understand that DOGE. Not only is it, first, it's not about corruption.
Right.
It is about saving money, but largely so the U.S.
funnel it.
Right. And so largely the U.S. can interface itself more tightly with the other non-state actors, particularly other corporations, which is why Silicon Valley, Coinbase, and Palantir, and Anduril, another company that is now building a $22 billion headset kind of thing. But companies like that, and even other well-known companies are going to get into this. This is the state fusing with corporations more deeply, and also creating a situation where the data collection that the state
used
starts
to be
build.
behind. Government data used to be behind more of a wall that wasn't, and that's a lot of data.
Right.
That is now just like, great, let's give away to all the corporations.
Well, but it's also going to standardize corporate data. So it means that everything comes into one place. So it's not just a question of sharing, and that interoperability mean there will be sharing, but what's going to be standardized and put on the single digital blockchain ultimately is all corporate, all state, all data. Like this is their way to get to that place in the fourth industrial revolution. Things that are not talked about there that you will hear from Alison, she mentioned in here, are things like digital twins, the data collection that they will use to create simulations of us, online simulations of us that the computer is going to use to say, what's my version of Andy? What's my version of Brandee? How will Andy and Brandee respond to this nudge,
Yeah.
that nudge? And they don't have to be right. They just have to make a prediction, and then they do something, and then they see how we respond. They collect that data, and then they get better. They're going to get smarter. They are going to build that digital twin off of us as a means of knowing how to control us. But ultimately, they're going to partly use whatever is unique or new in us that they can somehow turn into a 1 and a 0 to run their whole society, because they don't actually need us. So, folks, this is what you are celebrating right now. This is what you're signing on to. And I think I'd early on started to see that Trump represented an escalation of all those things that we thought Fauci and Gates, that they were bringing. And he is actually, he's not going to bring it through the vax thing, although I do want to point to this part.
Well, the new mRNA.
No, it's from Larry Ellison. You can get to read this one. Let's see.
So Larry Ellison thinks AI can make healthcare better by putting all medical records, test results, and even DNA information in one place. Oh, great. He believes this would help doctors find illnesses earlier and create better treatments. That's the big step. So this is in quotes. That's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumable by the AI model, and then ask whatever question you like, he explained. So in the Stargate announcement, when Alison spoke, he, was talking about how great this, personal, the AI, the personalized healthcare. So then you could use mRNA vaccines and create them, specifically for an individual based on whatever the AI says their diagnosis is, and how great that's going to be, because now, everyone's going to be super healthy. And if you buy that, as if their increase in medicine in the last 30 years has improved our rates of decreased our rates of chronic illness and autoimmune disease and all sorts of things.
And just to know that these people are serious about this. I mean, we know they're serious because they're doing it.
Yes.
But the other thing that comes next is the other executive order that Trump made about unleashing American energy. And basically, this was basically calling an energy emergency, basically.
Right.
And
because what needs energy?
The AI, the data collection centers and the AI development requires, like right now, it's taking anywhere from 4 to 6% of all U.S. energy is for that.
Really, only that much
right now? Yeah. They expect it to go up to 8 to 12%.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. That seems lower than
that's what I've
heard. Where it just seems like an astronomical amount of data centers and electricity necessary to run what they're attempting to do.
Well, that is true. I mean, but they're at the very early stages of doing this stuff. They're just beginning. And Trump was saying, we're going to need to double the energy usage of the country. He's not
for your benefit.
Right. He's not doing that to heat homes.
Right.
Or to give people air conditioning if they need air conditioning.
Or allow them to keep their cars.
Right. This is for servicing AI, the very thing that's going to replace you at your job.
And control the rest of your life.
Correct. And so I would just say that I don't know if there's anything more to say about this, but DOGE is a Trojan horse. It should be opposed. William Casey had that famous, the former CIA director said, we will know our disinformation campaign is complete when everything the American population believes is a lie. We are there. That's what's happening. And what Trump has done is he has turned the one section of the U.S. working class that was opposed to data collection, because unfortunately the left has a history of just being like, oh, collect data because we want AI, because socialism will come from bigger, better robots. That's the left. That's my side of the aisle. The people who have been more steadfast in saying we're opposed to this have come from more the libertarian or the right. Well, it's the libertarian and the right who are celebrating what Trump is doing. And we
And
said,
not really looking beyond the like how great they're sticking it to the government and, you know, getting rid of all the people we don't like, the liberals in there and their wasteful fraud. And it's just like I was saying to you, Catherine Austin Fitts in a recent interview was talking about like, yeah, they might be getting rid of some of the old corruption, but they're just putting in another form of corruption.
Right,
So it's
right.
not about, I mean, like my head explodes when people think that people like Trump and Musk are actually like looking to just make a more efficient government that doesn't have corruption, that just, you know, good for the people. It's just like, you think these people are like out to actually
right.
help things?
And it's important to remember that the DEI program, which was placing people of color, placing women in power, to obscure the fact that you were going to be brutalized by a person who is in an oppressed minority, so that when you try to fight back against them, you can say, well, what are you doing? Are you racist? Are you sexist? So, and also obscuring the fact that the people in actual authority, like, are the racists, are the sexists, and they're going to use these like symbols to kind of control you. Well, they were using that as a dodge. Now you're seeing those people removed, and this is obscuring something else. It's saying, oh, look, they're going to try to help you now. We're going to remove those people who were just placeholders anyway. The removal of them is no more significant than the placements. Those people were only placed as lipstick on a pig. And for many liberals and people on the left, we bought that lipstick, and now conservatives, as those same people are removed, they're buying the fact that, oh, look, this is for me. No, it's a fucking game. You have to look at what's going on at the top. You have to look at where the data is being centralized, where the money, capital and money is being centralized, where the power is being centralized. And that is what we are seeing is the state fusing more successfully with Silicon Valley and the capitalist corporations so that it can fight its wars.
Yeah, and those are the big things. But I mean, just on another level, there's the lack of any responsibility or accountability or transparency, right? That granted, we don't have a lot of that in government right now, but we still do have FOIA requests. We do have certain things where, you know, information is supposed to become available if it, you know, lots of problems. But now, you know, being one in an AI algorithm where nobody has any responsibility for that, and outsourced to all these corporations who we cannot publicly, you know, get public records from.
Right.
So there's just, it just makes any sense of knowing what's really going on or holding anyone accountable or stopping what's going on, at least through any sort of like judicial regular, you know, pathways, even that much harder.
I think it will mean a less accountable government. I will say that I don't think you would disagree on the idea that FOIAs and all those sorts of things, when they redact all this crap.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, it's kind of
like,
a joke, but it's like, okay, we have like little crumbs, and now even the crumbs are being taken away.
Right. And that's where we can look into things like US aid, where, well, the CIA is still going to be knee deep in all these countries controlling them.
Yeah.
What they're going to strip away are any of the bells and whistles where they tried to hide the fact that the CIA was coming in and fucking up these countries with like, oh, we're building a dam here, or we're doing this here.
We're doing a theater project.
Yeah. Right? Or something like that. And with some sort of idea that we're trying to bring some sort of cultural thing, which in and of itself is imperialism still, even if you put it, you know, whether you think you're bringing something good or bad. So I think, and this is the trap I think people can get caught in, where they'd be like, well, this was the example I was giving you. OSHA hasn't come up as on the chopping block, but people would say, oh my God, he's going after OSHA, like, which is the Occupational Safety and Health, for basically
agency.
Regulations on corporations for the conditions workers must work under. I don't care. Like, I don't defend OSHA because I don't think the government really cares about that. They might have given some sort of reform to like give partial thing. Workers are not kept safe with the US state existing. So I don't care if OSHA exists. I don't care if OSHA doesn't exist. And I will not celebrate them getting rid of OSHA or these government programs, because I know that these people who are doing it are just instituting something more draconian
more oppressive
and more oppressive.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to mourn them being gone, because what existed before has been part of the dictatorship that has always existed around us. So I'm not defending the existing state, nor I'm certainly not celebrating the coming, growing, more deeper control state.
Right.
What I am saying to people is, don't fall for the fact that what you hate about the current state is actually being replaced and turned into something friendly to you.
Yes. Right.
It is being turned into
something even worse than
Right.
what exists.
a more dangerous opponent.
Yeah.
And they're telling you right in your face a little bit. It's in the things. Efficiency and productivity, that for all workers, those should be words that scare you when you hear that. Because efficiency and productivity, when your boss talks about that, is about
Layoffs.
You're a week away from being laid off. So if you want to celebrate efficiency and productivity, then fire all workers. And that's what's coming.
Yeah. But it's so much more than that.
Yeah. Well, it is what's coming, because I think it is also about AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the left is like, oh no, don't fire the workers. And it's like, okay, yeah, you might not want people to lose their jobs. That's but that is that's another, let's go down that, sideshow instead of dealing with what's really happening.
And I would say that if federal workers actually stood up for themselves and organized and said, fuck this, we're not letting you throw us out, I would support that.
Yeah.
I would support their organizing now, if they think, oh, I want to keep the state so I can control you, well, there's a limit to that. But if they were willing to organize and fight together to preserve what they have for themselves, I would support that fight. And I hope that they would, like the SAG workers did in the case of Actors Guild, understand that AI would be at the center of this. Right. Is that we're not going to let you turn our government into a data collection center, and we're not going to let you turn us into an automated teleprompter, kind of thing, or whatever that is called. When you have one of those, do you have questions? What is that called? When you are on a website and they say, do it.
Like a AI
chatbot or something like that, and that's what the IRS is going to become. So I would have welcomed that sort of response, and I would have supported it, but that's not what you're seeing. The unions, because they're going after probationary workers, the unions are, we can't really defend them. Probationary workers are vulnerable. Unions are letting them go, but it's only a season away from once the probationary workers are gone, and once they've figured out how to automate some of the things they're there for, then there's the next round where you start to cut deeper into those unionized workers. And if they don't fight now, it's going to be much harder fighting later.
Absolutely.
So I would support. There is a way actually for workers to stop this, but they've got to get their minds right, not just about the Democrats, but about what's coming in terms of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that's one of the reasons why having a freedom movement that no longer talks about the Fourth Industrial Revolution means that the very set of workers who would have been fighting this could have been fighting this, and we could have been saying, yes, fight this, but this is a bigger fight than just your job. This is a fight against the transformation, the digital transformation of society. Yeah. And we join you in that fight. Now that opportunity has been lost. Now it's good, get rid of them, and workers feel like
we go back to just playing team sports and being excited. Oh, we're on the winning team, and look what our winning team did.
Right.
And
so there was a fight that could have been waged here, but it's not going to be waged. And the unions and the left doesn't even know the digital stuff is a problem. Those of us among the libertarians and the right,
they're just getting entertained by
right. Well, they've been now told to be like, yeah, good, go for it. Yeah. We are now celebrating. We are asking for this, and
they're binge watching the Musk Doge series.
And we've been down this road before, when teachers should have been saying, we will not close the schools. Instead, and the left and the right was rightly critical of teachers who were saying, you're cutting families loose. That is the possible place of unity that could have been made if teachers had their mind right and said, no, I refuse to have you force vaccines on people. I refuse to have you close these schools down. I refuse to say, you can just, you can basically decide who gets into school and who doesn't based on what their medical records are and that kind of information. Well, again, we saw how the unions got played by like suckers that way. Well, that's what's happening on our end over here in terms of the people who like probably call themselves conservatives and stuff. So it's very unfortunate. But I felt this was an important episode because I wanted to give another angle
Yeah.
on Doge.
Right. That's very few people are talking about.
Yeah. Except for the people you saw in the woman, Alison McDowell. She's already knows, like, she's just like, listen, it's a done deal in her mind. I get it. She's like, look, it's obvious what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think she would even say it's even bigger than, or it's a little different than what I'm saying, because I do believe it's about control. And I don't think she thinks it's ultimately about control. But I do think that this is going to be something that's going to allow them much more flexibility, many more tools on how to move us and maneuver us.
How to tamp us down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is there anything else on your?
I
Do you have a list of things?
I did, but I think I hit most of those sorts of things. And do you think there's anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, this might be a shorter episode, but we wanted to get this out there. And thank you, Brandee.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me to be
Yes.
your little sidekick.
Yeah. I guess that's it. So, Eduardo, hopefully you'll be able to join me next week.
Yep.
Hema, I hope things are going fine at home. But as you can see,
I'm no Hema, but
well, come on. But we've got Brandee here to kind of make sure that What's Left continues to be What's Left. All right, that does it for this week's episode. What's Left is a weekly political podcast channel challenging the mainstream left. We post information about our topics and our guests on the episode notes, wherever you found this episode, or on our blog, Whatsleftpodcast.com. You can find the link to our blog in the episode notes. And if you want to reach out to us about ideas for future episodes, feel free to use that link to contact us at What's Left directly. I remind people, if you like anything you've heard here, please subscribe, rate, review, turn on your notifications to any of our 7 platforms: Spotify, iTunes, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, or Telegram. So let's see. I think that's the same thing.
if you have any comments,
Please put them down.
please add them. Yep.
All right. Thanks, Brandee.
You're welcome. Thanks, Andy.
And sure. And thanks for joining us, folks. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
And
I'll fix my hair.
you got to fix your hair.
Weird bangs things that are going the wrong way. This part is not going to be in the. See how?
Oh, this is now part of the
Oh.
edits. This is the
Right.
deep cut at the end of the episode. Put that in.
Yeah. Better, more coverage. I had big.
All right. You look great, sweetie. I wish I could say the same for myself.
You're looking handsome
Thank you.
as always.
Thank you. Thank you.